What's up, guys? My name is Darryl Williams and I'm a licensed real estate agent here in New York City, and welcome to my vlog. Let's go. Hey guys, once again, my name is Darryl Williams and today we're going to talk about my very first real estate deal. Now, if you watched last week's vlog, I started out as a rental agent here in New York City. So my very first real estate deal was a rental deal. Now, before we jump into that, let me tell you a little bit about how rentals go in New York City. One, you have to make 40 times the monthly rent in order to qualify for an apartment here in New York. It's wild, I know. That's what I thought when I first rented an apartment here. So let's say an apartment costs $2,000 a month. You would have to make roughly $80,000 a year to qualify to rent that apartment. Now, if you don't meet that on your own, then you need a guarantor who makes 80 times the monthly rent. So that's about $160,000 a year. And then on top of that, you have to submit a copy of your photo ID, social security card, tax returns, most recent pay stubs, most recent bank statements. They usually require 3 of those, and then employment verification. So they pretty much want everything short of a blood sample in order for you to rent an apartment here in New York City, but that's just how it goes. So that's just a brief overview of renting in New York City. Maybe I'll do a separate vlog on that and dive into more. So bringing it back to my very first real estate deal, which was a rental deal on the Upper West Side. The building was located at 66 West 106th Street on the corner of Columbus Avenue. That deal was definitely hectic because it was my very first deal and I didn't know a lot and I messed up a lot, but I learned a lot as well. So I'm just gonna quickly, tell you about that, my experience, how that deal went, and how much my commission was at the end of the vlog. So clients were coming from Florida. They're already in New York for about a week. This lead was passed to me from another agent firm. And now when you start out as a real estate agent, especially as a rental agent or even a sales agent, you get leads passed to you. So this lead was passed to me and given the task to follow up with the client and close this deal. And that is what I set out to do, is close this deal. So I called the clients, set up an appointment that day, which was Thursday. So I had Thursday and Friday because we're leaving Saturday to go back to Florida. So I had a very short amount of time to find them an apartment. So I met up with them, showed about 5 apartments. They didn't like any of them. That was a bit disappointing because I was like, this is gonna be the day that I rent an apartment finally, but it didn't happen. So we parted ways and I was like, I'm gonna send you some more apartments and we can meet up tomorrow and look at some more. So I went to preview after that appointment. And now, very important, if you're starting out as a real estate agent, especially as a rental agent, preview. It's very important that you know every apartment that's vacant and available in whatever neighborhood that you're specializing in. So that's what I did most days when I wasn't showing clients apartments. And that's what you're probably gonna do a lot of that when you first start out as a rental agent. So after we parted ways, I previewed some apartments. I came across one on West 105th Street and I was like, this is the apartment for them. They're gonna love it. So I took a video and I sent it to them and they're like, yeah, we definitely want to see it. So we met up again on Thursday to see the apartment and they loved it. We went back to the office and we submitted an application, all the paperwork that was necessary for them to fill out the application, the tax returns paperwork. Now to back up, it was just the boyfriend and the father who were gonna apply for the apartment. They're actors coming out of Florida and they really have consistent income. So the father and the son were gonna apply for the apartment. So back to the Thursday afternoon in the office, filling out the paperwork for about 2 hours and then they left. We submitted everything. I was like, I get back to you in 24 hours. So I was like, this is it. Submitted my first application. I was hyped. I was like, I'm about to do my first deal within 30 days of just starting out as a real estate agent. So Friday morning, I wake up and I get a call from the listing agent and it was like, hey Darryl, so that apartment that you submitted the application for your client actually has been rented already. Now, quick tip, if you're renting an apartment in New York City during the summer, you're gonna find out that apartments go very, very fast. You can be showing an apartment to a client and that apartment can be rented by the time you leave that appointment. And that is exactly what happened with my clients. So I had to make a call I did not want to make. And I was like, hey guys, you lost the apartment. I'm sorry, I thought it was available. Obviously they were irritated. And I was like, I'm gonna find you something. I know you have to leave the next day, but we're gonna find you an apartment. So I went online, went to all the listings that we had, found an apartment on West 106th Street and Columbus Avenue. Sent them a video, called the management company for the apartment and double and triple checked that this apartment was still available. So we met up that Friday morning, which is the same day I gave them the bad news. So we met up, showed them the apartment. It was the 4th floor of a walk-up building, but the apartment was like brand new, renovated, very beautiful. I wish I had pictures to show you, but this was like over a year ago. So showed them the apartment, they loved it, and they're like, yes, let's apply. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna send you the application to fill out today, and then I need also a good faith deposit, because that's what this building requires. Now, a good faith deposit is simply what it sounds like. You submit $1,000 and you won't show the apartment to anyone else until you submit your application and put everything in. So it buys you like a day or two at most when you're applying for an apartment, just in case you need to gather some documents and it's going to take some time. So the boyfriend ran to the bank to get that while I waited outside on the stoop for him to come back and bring that to me and then submit the application that day. So we put everything together and then submitted the application that Friday. And again, boyfriend was on my back about, is this available? Are you sure? That's what you said last time. And I was like, I am sure. I was sure because I did call, and I called twice and I emailed, and they were like, the apartment's available. So submitted the application in person at the management office. I got an email from management like, hey, this application is incomplete. They're missing the first 2 pages of the tax returns. And I was like, we submitted the tax returns 2018 and 2017 just to be safe. But after going back and forth about 4 or 5 emails, it turns out that the tax form had been updated for 2018, so page 1 and 2 were on the same page, and none of us realized that. And finally, we solved that issue. Then came the next issue in this deal after that was taken care of, that my clients had a pet, and I told them there was no pet fee. Turns out there was actually a pet fee, which was equivalent to 1 month's rent. In addition to submitting your first month's rent, security deposit, they had to submit an extra month's rent as a pet deposit. And I didn't know that, so I had to call my clients and like, hey guys, do you have a pet? And I told you there was no pet deposit fee, but I was wrong. It turns out there is one, and it's equivalent to 1 month's rent. So they were irritated, but thankfully they did not pull out the deal because they couldn't look at any more apartments and we already submitted the application. But they were definitely more than irritated with me at this point. And I was a little bit frustrated as well because I didn't know that, and on the form it didn't indicate that there was a pet fee. But nonetheless, they were okay with it. So we continued the process, like, okay, my clients are aware of it, let them know, and then, submitted the application, came back. Turns out the father was missing some documentation as well, which I didn't double check when I submitted the application because I thought everything was complete the first time around, but then we got the paperwork that we needed, and finally we could submit the application, and that was a very hectic Friday. But we're not done yet. So they went back to Florida, and after about 3 or 4 days, management got back to me and said, hey, they don't quite meet the income requirements. Would they be willing to pay an extra month's rent? So now, remember, they have to submit first month's rent, security deposit, extra month's rent for a pet deposit, and now the company is asking them to submit another month's rent because their income is not that strong. So I had to make a call. It's like, hey guys, you guys have to submit an extra month's rent because your income doesn't quite meet the requirement to rent this apartment. And they're a little bit irritated by that. It's like, we submitted everything, like we have money in the bank, we can do this, let's go. And I was like, well, that's just what they require. But I was able to help them come to an agreement with it because maybe we can use that as well for the pet deposit fee, so that way you're not paying 4 months rent up front to move to the apartment, which we were able to do, thank God. I didn't think that was going to happen, so we were able to just only submit 3 months worth of rent in order for them to move to the apartment. So I went back to the management and it was like, we agree, my clients agree, we can do this. They agreed to submit another month's rent to move into the apartment. Finally, my clients were approved, we were good to go. Management was drawing up the leases. Quick tip, there's always 2 leases that are drawn up for the clients to sign, and they send both of them back. The landlord's countersigns and sends one original copy back for the tenant to keep for their records within 30 days of moving in. My clients were in Florida, so I had to overnight the leases out of my own pocket and get that to them. Texted them, said I sent it, here's a receipt. Once you receive it, please sign and send back to me the next day. So they sent it back 3 days later. Fine, they wanted to review the lease and read it, and if they had any questions, they wanted to clarify. So we waited maybe 2 days later, got the lease with the checks, and then brought it to the management company. So on the lease, it writes who the check goes out to, and then when we submitted this good faith deposit, that was deposited to a different entity for some reason that I don't know. So the checks were written in the wrong name, so they were not good. So we had to figure out how to do that. I didn't want to mail back the checks, and they were already frustrated, like, why can't they just accept the checks? but I was like, it wasn't made out to the proper entity. So what we ended up doing was like my firm ended up writing the check ourselves and consolidated everything and submitted it so that we were able to go through and complete everything, in which sometimes most managers wouldn't accept the broker check, but in this case they did, and it was my first deal, and I was like, can we do this? And we were able to get that through. So finally, leases submitted, checks submitted, clients are approved, keys are ready, and that apartment, my commission was $864.38. So that was my very first real estate deal. It was hectic. It was a little bit frustrating, but I learned a lot and it was a good experience. And I got $864.38. If you're a real estate agent and you're watching this and you want to share your experience about your first deal, comment below. If you're thinking about getting into real estate and have some more questions, also leave me a comment below. And please be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next vlog. Peace.